Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. I'm your host, Tony. Today, we have a fantastic topic that I think will resonate with many of you, and it's all about making positive changes in your life without feeling overwhelmed. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Jenny.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about today's topic. It's something I truly believe in and have tried to practice in my own life. Change your life one tiny step at a time. It sounds simple, but it's really powerful, don't you think?
Absolutely, Jenny. It's incredibly powerful. You know, sometimes we look at a big goal, like I want to learn a new language or I want to get fit, and it just feels huge, too big to even start. And then we do nothing. That's where the idea of tiny steps comes in.
Yes, exactly. I think many people feel that way. We set these enormous goals, like, I'm going to run a marathon next month, or I'll read 50 books this year. And then, after a week, we feel tired or behind, and we just give up. It's a very common pattern.
That's it. So our first main talking point for today is, why are small steps better than big leaps? From my experience, big leaps often lead to what I call motivation burnout. You start with a lot of energy, but it quickly fades because the task seems too difficult or time-consuming.
Motivation burnout. I like that term, Tony. It's so true. When you take a big leap, you often put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like, if you decide you're going to exercise for an hour every single day, starting tomorrow, and you haven't exercised in years, what happens?
You get tired, you get sore, and you probably stop after 2 days. But if your goal was just, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes today, that feels much more achievable, right? It reduces the fear of failure.
Exactly. It's like the first step to climbing a mountain. You don't try to jump to the top. You take one small step, then another. It builds confidence. And that confidence is really important for staying motivated.
Yes, confidence. When you achieve that tiny step, you think, hey, I did it. And that positive feeling makes you want to do it again tomorrow. It creates a positive loop. Okay, let's move to our second point. How do you identify your tiny step when you have a big goal? This can be tricky.
It can be. My personal advice is to break down your big goal into the absolute smallest, easiest action you can imagine. For example, if your big goal is to learn to play the guitar, a tiny step isn't practice for an hour. It might be pick up the guitar and hold it for 1 minute.
Pick up the guitar and hold it for 1 minute. That sounds almost silly, doesn't it? But it's brilliant because it removes all barriers. You can't say, I don't have time for 1 minute, or I don't know how to hold it. It's so simple, you just do it.
Precisely. And once you hold it, maybe you feel like playing a string or looking up a basic chord. The tiny step isn't about doing the whole thing. It's about starting the process. For me, when I wanted to read more, I started with read 1 page of a book before bed. 1 page! It's so easy. Sometimes I'd read 5 or 10 without even thinking.
That's a great example, Jenny. I tried to learn some basic coding a while ago. My big goal was build a website. Overwhelming, right? My tiny step became open the coding program and type 1 line of code. Even if it was just print hello world. It sounds like nothing, but it got me past the starting barrier.
Wow, open the program and type 1 line of code. That's perfect. It makes it almost impossible to fail. And once you're in the program, maybe you'll type 2 lines, or even 5. It's about building the habit of starting.
Exactly. And this brings us to our third core idea, the importance of consistency, not intensity. It's better to do a tiny step every day than a big leap once a month. My personal story here is about exercise. For years, I'd try to hit the gym for an hour, 3 times a week. I'd last a month, then stop. Then I started with just 10 minutes of stretching every morning.
Ooh, 10 minutes of stretching. That's manageable. And did you stick with it?
I did, because it felt so easy. And after a few weeks, I felt better, more flexible. So I added 5 minutes of light weights. Now, a year later, I regularly do a 30-minute workout. Not because I forced myself, but because I built up the habit slowly, consistently.
That's fantastic, Tony. It's the daily repetition that creates the habit, not the length of the activity. I remember when I wanted to learn English more seriously. My goal was become fluent so big. My tiny step was listen to 1 English song with lyrics every day. Just 1 song.
That's a brilliant tiny step for language learning. Did it help you feel more consistent?
Absolutely. I love music, so it didn't feel like studying. And listening to one song led to looking up a few words, then maybe watching a short YouTube video. Now, obviously, I'm here chatting with you on a podcast. It truly started with that tiny, enjoyable step.
Look at you now, Jenny. That's such a great example. It highlights how consistency builds momentum. Now for our fourth point, celebrating tiny victories. This is something I think people often forget. We only celebrate when we reach the finish line of the big goal.
Oh, this is so important, Tony. If you only celebrate the big win, you'll spend a lot of time feeling like you haven't achieved anything. But when you do that tiny step, like read one page, and you actually do it, you should mentally say, yes, I did it.
Yes, give yourself a high five or a small treat. For my stretching, sometimes my celebration was just saying, good job, Tony, to myself in the mirror. It sounds silly, but it makes a difference. It reinforces the positive behavior.
It's not silly at all. It's powerful. Imagine trying to lose weight, and your tiny step is, drink one extra glass of water today. When you do it, acknowledge it. Don't wait until you've lost 10 kilos to feel good. Feel good for that one glass of water.
That's a very practical example, and it helps to stay motivated over the long term, right? If you're constantly feeling good about your small achievements, you're less likely to give up. So our final point for today is dealing with setbacks. Because let's be honest, life happens. We miss a day, or two, or three. How do we get back on track?
This is crucial because everyone, and I mean everyone, experiences setbacks. You might miss your tiny step for a day because you're sick, or busy, or just forget. The key is not to let one missed day become a missed week, or a missed month.
Right. It's so easy to think, oh, I missed Monday, so this whole week is ruined. I'll start again next Monday. That's a trap! My advice is, don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistency, even if it's broken sometimes. If you miss Monday, just start again on Tuesday. Don't punish yourself.
Absolutely. It's like my reading goal. If I missed reading one page on a particular night because I was really tired, I wouldn't think, oh, I'm a failure, I'll never be a reader. I'd just say, okay, I'll read tomorrow. It's about being kind to yourself and understanding that life is not always perfect.
Yeah, and learning from it. Maybe, why did I miss it? Was I too tired? Did I start too late? Sometimes, small adjustments can help. But most important is just to restart. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect day.
Precisely. The perfect day rarely arrives. Just start again, even with an even tinier step if you need to. Maybe today you only do 30 seconds of stretching instead of 10 minutes. That's still a victory, because you got back on track.
Perfectly said, Jenny. So to wrap up our fantastic conversation today, let's give our listeners 3 key takeaways, 3 actionable or motivational points that they can remember and use.
Okay, my first key takeaway is, start incredibly small. So small it feels silly. If you want to tidy your room, don't think clean the whole room. Think put one item away. It's about reducing the barrier to entry to 0.
Love it. My second takeaway is be consistent, not perfect. Don't worry about doing something perfectly every single time. Focus on doing it regularly, almost every day, even if it's just for a minute. Consistency builds real habits.
And my third takeaway, which is so important for motivation, celebrate every step, no matter how tiny. Acknowledge your effort. Give yourself a pat on the back. This positive reinforcement keeps you going.
Wonderful, Jenny. Those are 3 powerful points. To all our listeners, we hope this episode inspires you to start making those small, positive changes in your life. Remember, big goals are achieved not by big jumps, but by many, many tiny steps.
Yes, don't wait for someday. Start today, even if it's just a 1-minute action. You might be surprised at how far those tiny steps can take you. Thanks for listening, everyone.
That's a great note to end on, Jenny. Thank you for another insightful conversation. And thank you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. We'll be back next time with another engaging topic. Until then, keep taking those tiny steps.